So I just didn't think lots of people would reply. That we had so many comments. It was really lovely, and it was really it brought like really warm energy this week. If I'm honest, it was been really nice going through the comments and seeing that people were so on. I actually wrote them down on a separate spreadsheet for another time because it's really like really lovely words. One was like gyoza, which was really cute, and one was congeli. It was a pasta, and I can't. And all the shapes that they were suggesting were so on point, but the word they didn't quite. I couldn't pronounce some of them, so I was like, I can't make a bag that I can't pronounce.
Hi everyone, welcome to Designing Tomorrow, your guide to sustainable entrepreneurship. My name is Amayo, and I am taking over from Kanishka, who's behind the camera, and I am co-hosting with.
Hi everyone, it's Anne here again. How is everybody? Has everybody checked our previous episode? Please check if you hasn't.
Our guest today is Emma Garner, and she is the award-winning designer and founder of the brand Isla De Gar. Emma, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting, and it's the first podcast I've ever done. So this is really interesting for me and something I've wanted to do for ages. So thanks for having me on. I launched Isla De Gar about 3 and a bit years ago now, after working for 6 or 7 years in the industry, like specifically fast fashion area of the industry. And I was designing handbags for various brands, gained so much experience, and it was great. But I really, really missed working with my hands and designing through making. And that side of the industry was very much heavily based on CAD work, and I just wanted to have the creative freedom, and that's how I used to design at uni, through making. COVID obviously hit, start of 2020, and I was put on furlough for about 4 months. But yeah, so I used that time to actually properly like sit and then start the brand that I've always wanted to start, really, and really getting to grips with crochet again, because I did a lot of that at uni because I studied multimedia textiles, so it was very like heavily surface based, which was great. Then at the end of 2020 I then launched Isla De Gar, also still while working full time, so it was pretty hectic to work like alongside that as well. But yeah, 3.5 years on, we've grown quite a bit, and we work in a studio now. There's a team of us based in East London, and we focus on designing and making crochet handbags, and we've broadened the range, and it's really exciting.
How was that, like launching a brand like kind of in a pandemic year, but also what are the things that you have taken from like that COVID period into like post-COVID?
Gosh, it has changed so much, hasn't it? I think I've learned, I think it was the way I worked back then was not great, and it was very different, but I think I've learned what not to do maybe. And I mean, my mental health was really not great back then as well. And just like the struggles and just being, it was just a different time. But I think now focusing on like health mentally and physically is huge. And back then just working crazy. I mean, that's what you do when you like launch a brand, I guess, when you're starting out. You just have to use all the hours of the day and do what you can to focus on your goals. So I think it's not, focusing on the health inside of it, and not letting that slip at all, which was not great before.
So you mentioned you're a team of 3. How did you go about like finding people to work with and like building that network?
I was so lucky. So my best friend Roz, when I started like developing the brand during lockdown, she was with me at the time as well. We were, our parents lived down the road from each other. So during lockdown, we would spend like the whole kind of that summer together. And I was like, so I'm starting this brand, and I'm really keen to do it. And I've started exploring materials and stuff. I think it's going to be something. And so yeah, she was heavily involved from the start, and she's kind of like the business operations manager now, which we've only just kind of given her that title because at the start she was literally doing anything and everything. Yeah, because when I was working full time, obviously, I then had to spend like evenings and weekends making the bags and fulfilling orders. So then she would answer all the emails. So Roz, my friend, has been with me since the start, and just picks up anything basically that I can't do and that the business needs to do. Her role's changed quite a bit since then. So that was fundamental. And then I think a few years in, I was like, I can't just be the only person that makes the bags. Like, I need to be the founder and the person that actually grows the brand and the business. And it was really interesting trying to transition from being a designer and maker and being like, actually, I want to be a founder and grow a successful brand, which is what I've always wanted to do. It's just shifting your mind. And because of the bags and how they're made, because crochet is quite a common skill, but with satin, because I wanted to make like a luxurious product and use material that wasn't often found in crochet, the tension is so important of the crochet. So teaching someone how to do that, I've never taught before. I've never taught someone how to make the bag at all. So like I was just so fine getting across that was really difficult, and I put it off for ages finding someone to help me, if I'm honest, because I was like, I just want to do it on my own. I'm fine on my own, and it's just stupid. That's when I was in such a rut, and I was just not okay.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, right, okay, now's the time to find an assistant. I need to sit and teach how to make. And then I put the ad out on, I think, Instagram and Fashion Worky. I think those two platforms, because they were free at the time, I think, to advertise jobs at. I think there might be others now, I'm not really sure, but those are the two that worked. So interviewed quite a few people, and finding the right people is so difficult. And I was really lucky that back then I found Bella, who's still with me now. So she started off part-time at the start, and now she's full-time. So it's amazing. So there's 3 of us now. So she's now our junior designer in production, and her role's changed obviously quite a bit. But yeah, we're like the fundamental grounds to the business, which is really amazing that I found like the right people. And then we've started to get freelancers and consultants in, like more ad hoc based for areas of the business that I can't do. So it's finding your weaknesses and like growing from that, really.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, I'm just very interesting to me that like the role change that from a designer to entrepreneur, right? That journey, that's just that's just amazing to me. Like,
it's hard. It's something that I've actually really decided to focus on. I mean, I've been doing it slowly without realizing, maybe like organically. But at the start, I was like, I'm a designer. I can design and make. I love creativity.
Yeah, like doing everything on myself. Like
exactly. And then I just thought, okay, it's just transitioning and like an understanding, just mind shifting, I think, and realizing, no, this is a business. You're not an artist. Like you have to build a business, and it has to make profit and money.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, is there like a specific moment, a specific like event that made you like your mind change and made you realize that, wow, I have to be an entrepreneur instead of like sole designer? So is it like a moment?
You know what it was? I'm just trying to think if there was a moment, but I don't know if there's an exact moment, but it's definitely been really, really recent. Like literally end of last year, start of this year, like literally in the past few months. It sounds silly because I should have always like realized that, obviously, but I think I'm so fortunate. I'm in a position where I've got my own brand, which is so privileged as well. Like that is amazing, and people are enjoying the designs and bags and buying them. Like that is just something so crazy as well. And it is in profit, which is also just unbelievable. Like I've never had any investment. I put in a bit of my own savings at the very, very, very start, like literally a few hundreds of pounds. But I was also working full time, so that helped it out as well. If I want to grow this brand and become what I want it to be in like 10 plus years, I really need to like hone in on the numbers, which is what Roz was doing a lot of, and like me to now really understand that for myself, and then to be able to develop it as well as a founder. But it's also interesting, it's understanding like what my skills are. I'm a designer, I'm a creative, and managing this also doesn't come naturally. Like I manage my best friend, which is a different kind of relationship, which it's really great. I'm very fortunate, and it's bringing in people that I know what my strengths are, and I have to understand my weaknesses, and then also bringing people in that can do those jobs for me. Like, for example, like accountancy, finance, marketing, we're looking into that now. Like, I have no idea on that. Like, I've been growing the...
It's amazing. I mean, it's like professional.
No, it's not. I think, well, that's the thing I enjoy. So that's what I find. It comes naturally. Like, I love doing the branding, the design, and the Instagram has been organic. Like, if I'm honest, there's been no strategy. It's been very organic growth, and I've enjoyed that. So that's been enjoyable. But now I'm like, I need to put money into advertising and marketing. There's a lot of other areas of the business that I need to grow, and I haven't got the skill set. As I said before, like, in terms of business, I started it at school and failed, and I've never failed any subject. I like worked so hard, and it was the one that I got a U in, and I was like, oh my god, and now here we are. But yeah, as I've realized that you find people to you understand your strengths and then understand your weaknesses, which I think is fundamental, which I've also learned really recently. And just understanding the bigger picture rather than just I think also what's helped is I was making all of the bags, And at the end of last year, this is actually a turning moment. This is
this is the turning moment.
We got there after 5 minutes. This was the moment. At the end of last year, I just thought, I can't make bags anymore. Bella and I were just making everything. Yeah. And then I was like, if I want to grow it and see the other side, and because it takes so much time to obviously crochet the bags, I need to take a step back from that. And so we've just, we're taking a freelancer on now part-time we're training her to make the bags as well. So I'm growing the production team and I'm doing elsewhere. And I'm actually really enjoying it because it's hard, but I'm learning a lot. It's really, really interesting. So that's actually the turning point. There we go.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, about how you got your first customer and also how you built your community, because like you have a product and you're like, okay, I want to launch, but like, how do you like then find people who want this, like this thing that you're selling?
No, that's such a good question. And because I launched at the end of autumn of 2020, and I think there were lots of brands that came out of lockdown, and we were all everyone was online, and so I was really, really lucky that I had that time where a lot of people were on their phones a lot more, I think. And I think I launched a month before going into that second long lockdown that we had in the UK anyway. It was all very silly back then. I just kind of was like, I enjoy the designs I'm doing. My friends say they're nice. And I feel like I have a vision for the brand. I know it can be something because I knew I wouldn't have started it if I knew it couldn't have been something. Cause I worked in the industry for a while, so I understood it, which also really helped, actually. I would not have been able to launch straight after uni. I think that's quite crucial for my experience anyway. So yeah, I launched, and then no one bought anything for ages, which is fine. And my friends were like, they're too expensive, I'm not going to buy them. Fine. And then I applied to Salad Days Market. They were previously a South London makers market at that time. They rebranded a year ago to Salad Days Market, and they have been incredibly supportive. I think I've done 4 of their markets since then. One of them was in Selfridges, which I'll come on to, which was like amazing. Yeah. So the first one was online. And then just from literally doing this one market online, like a Saturday market, and it was all online. It wasn't in because you couldn't go out. And then everyone accessed this platform online, and I got 3 sales that day, which was great. So exciting.
Must be so exciting, like.
Yeah, 2 were my friends, which was really nice of them. And then one was, I can't remember who it was, and I really should remember. That's really bad. Sorry if it's someone.
If you're listening to this.
I don't know who, I should have a look. And then, so I launched then, and then also got a lot of press from that as well, which was so amazing. That's organic press. So a lot of people were like looking to write pieces on smaller brands emerging. And then honestly, it was really genuinely organic, which I don't know if is the case anymore. It was different back then, as I was saying. Everyone was online on their phones, on Instagram, and I just kept on posting photos I was taking around the house. Aesthetically, like, I enjoy that side of it so much. I took my friends out, and literally like my housemates, because we were kind of in lockdown, we were just taking photos out in the streets and stuff like that, and I was posting them. And then a few stockists saw from then. So there's a brand called Gigi and Olive. So she stocked us. It's a bridal brand, mainly for like bridesmaids and hen dos, and it's amazing, like a bachelorette brand. And they stocked our bags 2 months later, and also we were on Her, which is the rental platform, 2 months after that, and they did a big launch. So there wasn't any strategy in place, but I think because I knew where I wanted to go, and I was very clear with the vision I had and the images I was putting out there, I was very specific that I didn't want it to be too crafty or too small business vibe, and that it had scope to be something bigger. I think I was just very careful about that sort of thing, but also I was still working, so it's just hard to know. It was just quite different times, and it has evolved since then. You just learn so much as you go along.
Talking about like your visual language, I was just curious because like we love
your creativity, and, like all the campaigns. I was like, somebody must be, she must be hire somebody to do it. Like, it's so professional, like all the creativity.
Yeah, we love your Instagram page, and like you seem very intentional about how you want the brand to present. So like, how did you come up with your visual language?
I think that's kind of happened as I've had a few mood boards, and it's kind of in my head, and it's always been the vibe since even at university, my final project. I do keep on going back to that because that is something that I had the experience obviously in between with working in the industry, but that was all different. That was someone else's design, like it was someone else's brand sort of thing. But yeah, I've always been quite playful and explorative, and with the materials and with the processes and just the whole aesthetic, I wanted it to be a playful but really elevated, minimal and very chic vibe, and to marry the two. And that's why the brand is called it. I can actually go into this as well. It used to be called
Ella
thank you. Yeah, exactly. So it used to be called Ala Risa, which translates to Island of Laughter in Spanish. And that took so long to come up with, and it was just such a beautiful encompassing of the whole brand, really. And I really wanted it to be visually representative of that. And so that's kind of what it's been honing in on. And our mission is that we create artful bags that embody playfulness and bring joy. So that is like the whole element of it, the aesthetic. So very playful, but also has very refined, minimal sculptural shapes as well. So it's keeping that in my head. Spring summer 22, I think it was. I did work with someone, Hannah. She's called Hannah, and her handle's Object Stir, and she was amazing. So I was put in contact with her probably a year prior to that, and I created a mood board of our spring summer shoot, and I really wanted it to be like spring cleaning and a new beginning, and like growing the hive, growing the bag. So it was kind of about rebirth, and I created a mood board and came to her with this concept, and she came back to me with a few other amazing ideas, and we worked together. So working collaborative like that was really, really cool, and I really want to work with her again. But I think having the vision instilled in me, and I'm pleased it comes across that way, because it has, as I said, it's just me doing the Instagram, but we need to work on other areas of the marketing as well. There's lots of other platforms.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. You mentioned earlier that you didn't want it to be too crafty, the like brand image. It does the price, right? Because your price point is not like Primark level, anything, it's a bit higher than that. It's like, I would say mid-luxury, right? Did the price play a part in how you decided to brand position yourself? Yeah,
no, that is really interesting. And I think at the start they were far too low, and I was just nervous to put them at the price they should be, if I'm honest. So I did it all the proper way. I had like cost sheets and margin sheets and everything. So I worked out my cost price and then the price it should be, especially if I wanted to long term think about wholesaling as well, because they take a huge cut of the portion of the RRP. So I knew all of this. I was just too scared to put it at the price it should be. So when I first launched our best-selling Hive bag, which is now 120, I launched at 85. So I've increased it by quite a significant amount since 3.5 years ago, but I've slowly increased it by £5-10 here and there, which I was so nervous to do at the start, because it didn't sit right when I was building community, and a lot of them paid for it at that price, and they were like, right. But genuinely, it's the price it is now because of it needs to be that price. I wasn't making enough profit back then at all, and I think that's what's a lot of us find so difficult, is pricing it and like understanding what it should be, and getting too nervous to actually put it out as what it should be. And I felt also that price was not, I mean, if I put it at £30, that's definitely crafty. I mean, I wouldn't have even made profit because it's cost way more than that to make. But anyway, I think it's really sticking to what you think it should be, and I should have done that from the outset. But it's hard because I want to get the balance, and we build up such an amazing community at the moment, and everyone is so loyal, and we've got a loyalty card now because people keep on building up the stickers on their card, and then we give them like discounts or free tote bags the more they buy, and then they get a free bag at the end of it, or a 9th bag I think is free. So we've been building that up, but it's been hard to. And also when I launched, I compared myself to the smaller businesses. And now as we've grown, I feel like our competitors are more of the mid-range. Yeah. Which is really exciting, because that's where I've always wanted to be. But when I launched on not much, and I was just making them, it's so hard unless you have the financial backing to launch at a bigger scale. Yeah. So it's just learning and growing along the way. But I've kind of enjoyed doing it that way, because it's good to just start and just learn as you go along, and meeting new people.
I think it's so important to price properly in the first place, because then when you want to upgrade, because you want to scale up or expand, you run the risk of alienating your community, because they're all of a sudden this isn't what I signed up for. But community seems to be really important for you. You have the loyalty card, and you kind of involve them in the naming of your bags and stuff.
That was a very recent thing. Yeah, it's so huge. And even before I've listened to, I've been reading a book by Daisy. I can't remember her surname. I need to get it at the end of this. And it's called Community is Your Currency. That's the name of her book, by Daisy. And that came out last year. I think I've been reading that. And it's really interesting. And even before I read this, I kind of knew, I understood it, but it's just highlighting it a lot more. And just building that community is so fundamental to a brand, and not just producing nice, pretty things. Yeah. And it's just huge. And I think by and that's why it's been so nice slowly growing it and connecting with people online, and then doing more markets and in real life events. And now we've also started now we're really lucky to have a studio. Before, like the first few years, I had my assistants crocheting in the lounge with my housemates, making lunch around them. It was just really not the ideal situation, but you had to do it. But now we're really lucky we have a studio, and every 3 months we're now hosting an open studio. So our next one is actually next month, and for each season, basically, for new launches and new products, and also just for people to come in and try on the bags. I think it's so crucial. But yeah, building that community, the face-to-face interaction as well. And it's just so much more important to meet people face to face and interact online with them, because you just don't want them to sell. I don't want to sell them one bag. Like, you want a whole relationship and that whole
emotional connection.
Yeah, exactly. And the bag to create a feeling when they wear it and things like that. It's quite it's a big thing, and a lot of bigger brands aren't. It's hard to achieve that. I think that's what someone said to me, like, why don't you just want to keep it small and just so you still have that interaction with them? But I think it's I do want it to grow to more people, and also just to keep on scaling up, because it's really exciting and it's really enjoyable as well. So
yes, I have noticed that your Hive bag has become like extremely popular with weddings.
Yeah.
So like, is that like intentional or like?
I wish it was.
Oh, it's completely.
You know, if I'm completely honest, it wasn't. The first bag I made out of satin was like a larger shoulder satin bag, so similar, very same shape to the Hive, but on a larger scale, and it was like a longer shoulder bag. And then I made it smaller because it was just a cuter little everyday, like cuter bag basically. And there were more of those mini bag trends at that time. And then I added the crossbody strap a few months after, which actually that really, really helped growth of sales, to be fair, because people were just like, oh, it's got a little handle, I'm not really sure what to do with it. And as soon as I added the crossbody strap, obviously hands free, which is just a big it's a
game changer.
Basically, yeah. But yeah, the wedding, that's really interesting. And I think a few of my friends started getting married, and then they started buying them for their and then I go to weddings, my friends' weddings, and they're all wearing the bags. It's so cute. But yeah, no, you're so right. It wasn't intentional, but it's really amazing how that has become that, and it makes sense. But there wasn't thought behind it in terms of that exactly. But it does make sense because it's maybe at that price point. And also, if you buy the crossbody bag, you can tuck the strap in and it makes the Hive. So there's 2 bags in one. You
said you were stocked first by a wedding brand, right?
Yeah.
So like, I guess my question is, how do you, like, what's important to you when you're looking at collaborators or like people to stock your products?
I always ask what other brands they have on, like, what other brands they stock as well, and kind of see if it aligns with that vibe and criteria. At the start, I was kind of just keen to get it out there at all, but now I do think a bit more carefully, and there's a lot of other things involved now. In terms of, at the start it was more UK based, and now we're branching out. We've got quite a few stockists in Europe, which is really exciting, and also we've got one in Hong Kong, which is, she's doing really well for us, so that's doing amazingly. But it's really, it's understanding what they can bring as well, and the customers, understanding their customer base and who shops there, what other brands they have in their store as well, and if it kind of aligns with what we're doing. We've only done one collab last year, and it was when so it was with influencer Lou. So she bought a bag from us probably in the summer of 2021, I think, like a year after we launched, and she's been on my radar, and she's posted like really cool images, and I just love her vibe and energy and style. I think she's just like the perfect fit and ambassador for the brand. So I reached out to her to do our first model shoot, because I'd never done any e-com, like paid model shoot before, and I just thought she'd be the perfect fit, because I didn't want to get kind of any model. I really wanted to have someone that was really involved into the brand, and it was the perfect aesthetic. So she did a shoot for us, and then a few months later she reached out and was like, I really wanted to work with you on a collab bag. And I was like, oh my god, I just said to my team like a week earlier that you would be the first person that we want to work with. So then we started working together, which was great. So I think it has to be marrying like the right fit for what works for the brand in terms of aesthetic. We both have to work together and understand what we both want out of this as well. And it was the first time either of us had worked in this way, done any sort of collaboration before. So we then worked on our best-selling bag, which is the Hive crossbody. and then decided to put Lou's personality into that. She's extremely colourful and wears lots of layers and patterns of clothing. So we then designed a range of 6 bags and mixed the colours together, and we launched that September last year. But yeah, I think as the brand grows collaboratively, I really would love to work with other artists and designers. I think it's so important, and potentially this year look at working with a designer that I can work with in terms of actually creating a new product maybe, and using their style, their design work, and then we can like marry the two together, which will be really interesting, I think, to see what product we come up with. But yeah, it's collaborations. I guess it's like there's lots of different things you could do. You could do it for a financial gain or get more followers. There's lots of things, but I think it's just trying to work out what's the right fit for right now. Yeah.
In terms of like new products, we know that you branched into like hair accessories. What made you like do that decision?
So hair accessories actually. So we've that was Bella who designed these. I can't take credit for that, and she's done an amazing job. So we realised that our entry price point is £95, which is quite high, and we haven't got any. If people come on the website and they just want to buy something as there's a lower price points in like socks, for example. Some brands have that. So if you want something from the brand, but you can't afford something expensive, then you'll go for the lower price point. And we just didn't have an offering for that. We had tote bags, but they weren't really doing that well, and it was just printed on canvas. Basically, it wasn't like our design. So just before Christmas, it was probably in October, November. I don't really know how we even got onto it. She just had this idea one day and we were just chatting, and I was like, yeah, just go for it. And it was, she designed a different shape scrunchie. That was it. And then kind of it evolved into this kind of shape. And I was like, this is really cool and chic, and it just fits in so well. And like this motif is just becoming quite a big thing nowadays, hearts and flowers especially. And also like key rings on bags and that sort of thing, and hair accessories. So it basically flowed from that, and she designed a few. And I was like, this is actually quite good. It's quite cool. And we launched them just before Christmas. They did so well. And they're still doing really well. So it's a good stocking filler, I think. So that's how that product kind of evolved, because we needed an entry price point, so it was like to focus on a lower price point. That's how the scrunchies came about.
Well, anyone who goes to your page or even your website, like your naming process is quite organic and unique.
I love it. This is what I missed out at the start. Actually, I'm pleased you asked. Yes, so that is the whole point of also the brand. I really wanted. I'm so inspired by sculpture and organic forms and nature, and that's always been a huge part of the design process. So it had to be fundamental to the naming process as well. So yeah, the first bag, the Hive, obviously named after a beehive, and then the nest, which came next, was because when you open it, it looks like a nest, basically a bird's nest. So I wanted it to keep in the natural era and like natural habitats as well. Some of our bags, like the Squid, that's gone off topic slightly, but it's still with that nature and the beauty of the world. Yes. And I really like that vibe, and it's carried through. And our customers last week when we asked them to name the new bag, they all stayed with on brand, which was really cute. Yes. I really enjoyed like reading everyone's suggestions, and it just felt so, and I was like, right, okay, people are understanding what we're doing here.
Yeah. Okay, well, tell us a bit about like your new bag and like the launch that you have later.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to push it back by an hour. But that's fine. It's been worth it. So that I can actually show you the name of it as well. So that started because we actually started discussing that in October last year, I think. So we've got a bag called the Clam at the moment, which is a flap over bag. And then we've also got the Squid, which is an oversized bag with a really intricate strap detail. And there's a lot of like sling banana oversized bags going around at the moment. I've been around for years, but I just keep seeing them, and I was like, this is really cool. And I always wanted to design and create bags that were so different to what you could find out there at the moment. So I was a bit hesitant to launch something that was like a very on-trend shape, if I'm honest, but I just knew it would be quite commercial. And obviously if I'm running a business and brand, you do have to create commercial products because that's what sells. And at the start, I found that quite difficult because I wanted to create really unusual shapes. Like the nest is such a cute, like it's such an unusual shape, but that's not going to drive sales. That's still, so you have to kind of have a mix of the two that are going to be commercial and then also like your showpiece products. We married two designs together. and it happened just before Christmas. I think we just it came together, and then we were like, let's save this for spring and do kind of the thing around it. So it's a crossbody bag, and I didn't think the reaction would be so big, and it is, which is really exciting. But we're going to call that the scallop. Because
was that a customer suggestion?
You know what? It actually was. However, we'd already discussed it about a month ago. We'd already put names down.
Yeah.
And then I kind of was like, we've been calling it the clam crossbody. And I don't like, I just wanted to have its own name because I like how they're individual and it's confusing for the customer otherwise as well, and confusing for us. So I was like, you know what? I want to talk to the audience, talk to our customers and like community so much more, and I've been neglected a bit at the start of the year because I was focused on other things. So I was like, no, I need to get back into that, and I want to get back into that. It's so important. So I just didn't think lots of people would reply. That we had so many comments. It was really lovely, and it was really it brought like really warm energy this week, if I'm honest. It was been really nice going through the comments and seeing that people were so on. I actually wrote them down on a separate spreadsheet for another time because it's really like really lovely words. One was like gyoza, which was really cute, and one was congeli. I was a pasta, and I can't. And all the shapes that they were suggesting were so on point, but the word they didn't quite. I couldn't pronounce some of them, so I was like, I can't make a bad that I can't pronounce. So scallop also it's the same as like clam and squid. It's within that family, which felt really nice.
Yes, it's just giving me this island vibe, you know.
Oh my god, great! That's exactly what island exactly. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, so that's our version of House of, like Hackney, for example, House of Holland. So we've done Island of, and then my surname. So it's kind of like creating, exactly, the island living in the Mediterranean.
It's consistent. Branding.
Your branding is so like it's so great and consistent. I guess one of the questions that I want to ask is, what resources would you recommend, like someone starting a brand, or just like things that have really helped you in your journey? That's really interesting and really good point, because at the start, actually I probably should have said this as well, I did even though I had worked in the industry, so I did have a lot of knowledge about how the fashion industry works in the terms of fast fashion, but when it came to obviously running your own thing where you have to do everything, it was quite hard to start. So my friend sent me a link to someone called Elizabeth Styles. So she was at the time, so that was 4 years ago now, I think she's changed her courses since then. She was running an online fashion, how to launch your fashion brand online. And it was, I think it was a 4-week course. And we had one Zoom call a week with a group of other people. But she sent over a deck and it was all super clear. And it was just from literally the basics to launching. It was really thorough, and she runs a lot of programs now, so I would say people like that to reach out to. That was really great. So it's literally like how to launch your Instagram account and what's best to talk about, to going onto the website, to working out your cost prices. So I had already this in place because I kind of understood it, but it was just still sitting down, listening to someone talk through it all really clearly, a step at a time, and kind of reassuring you that you were kind of doing the right thing, and then going into launch stage as well. So that was really interesting. And then also when I did that market as well, just gaining contacts from just getting out there and doing markets, because markets are huge now. I still do them, even though I didn't want to like be a craft small brand, but Salad Days Market that I mentioned earlier, they are not like that at all. They're really, really careful about who they bring in, and they have such a curated market. And you go, and it's, I did they did one in Battersea Power Station like just before Christmas, so I did that one and took so many sales, had amazing feedback, and it's just a really nice community of people that they bring to those events. So yeah, I did that online course and then the markets at the start, so trying to get out there as much as possible. And there's also a lot of like listen to lots of podcasts. I didn't do that as much at the start, but now I'm like listening to so many. But I think there's just so much free advice out there, which is amazing. What's the podcast you would recommend?
So I was really into, I do listen to Elizabeth Styles quite a bit. She has one as well. I did listen to The Diary of a CEO, but I feel like he doesn't interview as many founders as he used to, and that's why I listened to it. But there's a few marketing podcasts that I'm trying to get into now, because marketing is huge and a whole nother job aspect that I just don't know anything about, and it's really hard to come up with strategies and navigate. So I'm starting to listen to more marketing ones now and trying to educate myself.
I know a podcast you can listen to. What is your ultimate goal for Isla De Gar?
That's a very good question. And I've never actually properly thought about the ultimate goal. I think I just want to keep on doing what we're doing now, but on a larger scale in terms of growing our community, like effectively and strong and like in a beautiful way. And I really want to keep it as local as possible. I know when you scale, it's hard to do that. But I love how it's all made to order. We don't keep stock of anything, which again is quite a business decision as well that I thought of at the start, because I didn't want to keep tons of stock because that's not great. And also really low waste. We don't have much waste at all. We keep lots of offcut. So that aspect of it is so important to me. So keeping it all as like in the UK as possible. And the ultimate goal is for me to personally to develop this brand that I am proud of and I've wanted to do for so long, and creating products and designs that people love and bring something new and inspiring into the world.
Do you think that this idea of like not having waste and like trying to do things slowly is important to the community you've built as well?
Yeah, that's also really interesting, because I hope so. I think it's maybe the case in half my customers, if I'm honest, just because as it grows, a lot of people find you online and haven't followed your journey. So from the start, they follow the journey, understand it's small, they want to invest in your pieces. And a lot of people save up, they like DM saying, I've just saved up for your bag, I can't wait to buy it, which is so lovely. And that's why I hated increasing the prices, because I know I'm one of those customers, like I don't buy big expensive things. I like literally lust over them and I don't buy them. So I understand that as well. But yeah, I think half of them do really want like appreciate that side of it, and I think that side of the community is growing and it's really important. But then a lot of people just really don't care about it, which is such a shame. But it's educating them, I think, to understand, but they just like the product. It's understanding that, but understanding that we do have completely different customer base, and also we are about to launch more colours for our leather range as well, our leather strap range next month, which I'm so excited about because I love leather bags. I think they're so luxurious, but that's a whole other part of the market that is really difficult to work with. And I don't make the straps. We can't make them in our studio. Yeah. They get made in North London by an amazing team of skilled women. And I really enjoyed working with them and understanding their craft. But again, they're going to be a lot more expensive because I'm paying them and it's all UK based. So it's a lot higher. But that's really important to me. But so it's just kind of also finding, we've got different product categories, different pricing categories, as well. And I think they also tailor for different types of customer.
Yeah, I think values are always important, like for slow fashion, like to...
No, definitely. They really are. And it's just like, it's slowly getting there. The bigger brands are doing it. And it's just, you can only do so much. I feel like if you really want to do the right thing, you just don't start a brand. It is so, like, it is true. It's bad, isn't it? But it's just like your passion. You're trying to do good in other ways. And you hope that people buy from you and it's local rather than fast fashion.
Yes, I think it's good to give people an option, like to choose.
Yeah.
When they want to be sustainable, when they want to buy from sustainable brands.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like educating them on the process. Yes. So we're trying to put more out there that they can understand that it's literally locally made.
Okay. Describe your brand personality in 3 words.
Okay. I think playful, minimal, I was going to say chic, but it's kind of the same within that aesthetic, and artful.
Artful, I love it.
Artistic, yeah,
I love it. What is your favorite bag in your collection?
Oh, that's really sweet. I never thought about it.
Which one's your favorite?
Yeah, I think the oyster or the clam, which are part of our leather strap range, because to me they are pieces that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And the Hive is obviously the classic one. It drives sales, which is so amazing, and that does so well for us, and that's a great price point. And the leather ones is just like, to me, I'm quite proud of those ranges and what we're developing and the colors we're about to bring out, because that really, really excites me, and I feel like that they are elevating the brand a lot. And I hope that brings us into another kind of like customer and like another level of the industry, which is really great. So
can you share with us, like, where can we find your like information or brands, like future plans?
Yeah, of course. So we have Instagram, which is at Isla De Gar, and then we also have, what else do we have? We've got TikTok, which is also at Isla De Gar, which Roz is working on at the moment. I don't understand how the app works at all. I think it's really amazing. like hats off to the content creators who do that job, because I don't understand it at all. So Roz and our team's trying to grow that side of it, because it doesn't really exist at the moment from our side. And then Pinterest, I'm not sure what we are, but I think it's probably /Isla De Gar, with there's no dots or slashes. It's literally just that one handle. And then also our website is isladegar.com. Yeah,
that's the end of the episode. You've been listening to Designing Tomorrow. You can find us at LCF Designing Tomorrow on Instagram. You can email us at designingtomorrowpodcasts@gmail.com, and we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Yeah, yes. And please like and subscribe.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Thank you. Stay tuned.